नमस्कार. महाराष्ट्र कल्चरल सेंटर तर्फे आज 2 पुरस्कार दिले जाणार आहेत. त्या पुरस्कार समारंभामध्ये आपण सर्वांचं मी स्वागत करतो. या 2 पुरस्कारांच्या बद्दल थोडं आधी सांगतो आणि कार्यक्रमाचं स्वरूप काय असणार आहे तेही सांगतो. डॉक्टर चैतन्य पुंडरीक देसाई हे एक जुन्या काळातले फार मोठे संगीतशास्त्रकार. त्यांच्या स्मृतीनिमित्त एका ज्येष्ठ संगीत तज्ज्ञाला आपण संगीत मनीषी पुरस्कार देत असतो आणि शतायुषी कवी समीक्षक माकृ पारधी यांच्या कल्पनेतनं साकारलेला स्वरभाव पुरस्कार हा एका युवा कलाकाराला संगीत क्षेत्रात ज्याची कामगिरी काही विशेष तऱ्हेने चालली आहे अशा कलाकाराला आपण स्वरभाव पुरस्कार देतो. या दोन्ही पुरस्कारांचं हे 3रं वर्ष आहे. तर प्रथम पुरस्काराचा समारंभ होईल, त्यानंतर संगीत मनीषी पुरस्कार ज्यांना दिला जाणार आहे त्या डॉक्टर व्ही प्रेमलता यांचं डॉक्टर चैतन्य देसाई स्मृती व्याख्यान होईल आणि त्यानंतर मयूर महाजन यांची मैफल होईल. तर अशा कार्यक्रमाचा आराखडा आहे. आजच्या सत्काराचा जो भाग आहे त्याच्याकडे आपण वळूया. हा डॉक्टर चैतन्य पुंडरीक देसाई यांच्या स्मृतीनिमित्त दिला जाणारा पुरस्कार संगीत मनीषी पुरस्कार. मी मगाशी म्हटलं तसं ज्येष्ठ संगीत तज्ज्ञाला दिला जातो. त्यासाठी ह्यावर्षी डॉक्टर व्ही प्रेमलता यांची निवड करण्यात आली आहे. त्यांच्याबद्दल थोडी माहिती मी सांगतो. Dr. V Premalatha is a postgraduate and doctorate in music with specialization in vocal as well as Veena, Carnatic Veena. Under the guidance of Professor N. Ramanathan, she has been working in the area of music manuscripts for about 29 years and completed research projects awarded by Sangeet Natak Academy, New Delhi and UGC. She has authored 3 books, Natya Chudamani of Soma Narayana, Tala Lakshanam of Achyuta Rai, and Contribution of Trinity. She has presented and published research articles, textual materials, and research reference materials for students of higher education institutions. And her works are available at musicresearchlibrary.net. She has served at University of Madras and Shri Venkateshwara University, Tirupati for about 10 years. Currently, she is a professor and head at Central University of Tamil Nadu. She is a member of Board of Studies and external expert for adjunctions of PhD for 14 universities, and she is member of editorial board for peer-reviewed music journals. She has contributed e-content relating to Carnatic music for e-Pathshala project. She has conferred with Musicologist Award by the Madras Music Academy for 2022 and recognized as Women Achievers by Telugu section of All India Radio Chennai during the International Women's Day Week in March 2023. She is a recipient of Institutional Internship Project from IKS, New Delhi, 2023. Dr. Premlatha has been researching on the ancient palm leaf and paper manuscripts of music for more than 3 decades, and she had brought out hitherto unknown and new information of music traditions and literature of ancient period to limelight. She has edited 2 Sanskrit Telugu texts on music with English translation belonging to 15th and 16th century. So, I now request Kusumtai Pardhi to felicitate Dr. V Premalatha with Sangeet Maneeshi Award. आता स्वरभाव पुरस्काराबद्दल मगाशी म्हटलं तसं शतायुषी समीक्षक कवी माकृ पारधी यांची ही संकल्पना होती. 103 वर्षांचं समृद्ध आयुष्य जगून माकृ पारधी यांचं गेल्या वर्षी निधन झालं. तत्पूर्वी अनेक वेळा त्यांच्याशी भेटीगाठी होत असत आणि चर्चा व्हायच्या. त्याच्यात त्यांनी असा विचार मांडला की गेल्या काही वर्षात त्यांना विशेष जाणवलेली गोष्ट अशी की हिंदुस्थानी ख्याल गायनात श्रोत्यांचं रंजन करण्यासाठी, म्हणजे कशा तऱ्हेचं तर गॅलरी प्लेईंग म्हणतात तसं, ते खूप केलं जातं किंवा बौद्धिक करामती केल्या जातात. पण ज्याच्यातून रागाचा भाव सादर होईल, स्वरभाव व्यक्त होईल, असं गाणं बजावणं कमी झालं असं त्यांना वाटत होतं. किंवा संगीताबद्दल अधिक विचारपूर्वक, अधिक वेगळ्या जाणीवेनी, संशोधनात्मक काहीतरी विचार ठेवून असं सादरीकरण कमी होताना दिसतं. त्यामुळे त्यांची अशी कल्पना होती की असं करणाऱ्या कलावंताला पुरस्कार दिला जावा आणि त्यातनं हा स्वरभाव पुरस्कार त्यांनी देण्याचं ठरवलं. आज आता या पुरस्काराचं 3रं वर्ष आहे आणि त्यासाठी मयूर महाजन यांची निवड करण्यात आली आहे. मयूर महाजन यांच्याबद्दल थोडक्यात माहिती सांगतो. त्यांचं शिक्षण, गायनाचं शिक्षण श्रीमती स्मिता जोशी यांच्याकडे सुरू झालं नांदेडला आणि गेली जवळपास 3 दशकं ते पंडित मोहनकुमार दरेकर यांच्याकडे तालीम घेत आहेत. आपल्याला माहिती आहे की पंडित मोहनकुमार दरेकर हे पंडित जितेंद्र अभिषेकी आणि पंडित राजन साजन मिश्रा यांचे शिष्य, त्यामुळे त्या परंपरेतलं गाणं मयूर महाजन हे सादर करतात. संगीत विशारद, संगीत अलंकार या पदव्या तर त्यांनी प्राप्त केल्याच शिवाय ललित कला केंद्र पुणे विद्यापीठातनं त्यांनी संगीतात BA पदवी घेतली आणि त्याच्यानंतर कोल्हापूरच्या शिवाजी विद्यापीठातून त्यांनी मास्टर्स डिग्री संपादन केली. मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कल्चरल बोर्ड भारत सरकारची त्यांना नॅशनल स्कॉलरशिप होती. शिवाय सवाई गंधर्व स्कॉलरशिप जी आर्य संगीत प्रसारक मंडळाची असते तीही त्यांना मिळालेली होती. त्याखेरीज त्यांना अनेक पुरस्कार मिळालेले. त्याच्यात वसंतोत्सव पुरस्कार, गायनाचार्य भास्कर बुवा बखले पुरस्कार, पंडित नारायणराव व्यास अवॉर्ड आणि पंडित लिमये बुवा पुरस्कार असे अनेक आहेत. आणि त्यांनी आपल्या मैफिलींचं सादरीकरण अनेक ठिकाणी केलं आहे. त्याच्यात महत्त्वपूर्ण काही सांगायचे तर पंडित जितेंद्र अभिषेकी महोत्सव, औंध संगीत महोत्सव, सुदर्शन संगीत महोत्सवमध्येही आपल्या त्यांनी गायन सादर केलेलं आहे. त्याखेरीज ठाण्याच्या स्वर्गंगा संगीत महोत्सव, चैत्र पालवी, कोल्हापूरचा छत्रपती शाहू संगीत रजनी, संस्कृती आर्ट फेस्टिवल अशा अनेक मंचावरनं त्यांनी आपलं गायन सादर केलं आहे. त्याखेरीज अनेक संकल्पनाधारित कार्यक्रमांमध्ये त्यांनी गायन केलं आहे. त्यात आपल्याच महाराष्ट्र कल्चरल सेंटरच्या संत सुरवेल, कालिदास विलास या कार्यक्रमात त्यांनी गायन केलेलं आहे. त्याखेरीज समय रागचक्र, नामामणे, संतवाणी, अभंगरंग असे अनेक कार्यक्रम त्यांनी सादर केलेत. विशेष म्हणजे नृत्य संरचनांसाठी सुद्धा त्यांनी फार चांगल्या रीतीने गायन केलं आहे. त्यात संवाद, पंचतत्व, प्रयास, कान्होपात्रा, रावण मंदोदरी अशा अनेक नृत्य संरचनांसाठी त्यांनी आपला आवाज दिलेला आहे. तर मयूर महाजन हे रंगमंच प्रस्तुतीखेरीज गेल्या काही वर्षात उत्तम गुरु म्हणूनही कार्य करत आहेत. स्वतः ते अनेक विद्यार्थ्यांना आपल्या घरी शिकवतातच, शिवाय SNDT च्या संगीत विभागात त्यांनी 4 वर्ष अध्यापन केलेलं आहे आणि आता ललित कला केंद्र, गुरुकुल आणि भारती विद्यापीठ या दोन्ही ठिकाणी ते प्रत्यक्ष गायनाचं अध्यापन करत असतात. तर अशा एका गुणवंत कलाकाराचं, उत्तम परफॉर्मर असणाऱ्या गायकाचं आपण हा स्वरभाव पुरस्कार देऊन अभिनंदन करतो. तर मी आमच्या संस्थेचे प्रमोद काळे यांना विनंती करतो की त्यांनी मयूर महाजन यांना स्वरभाव पुरस्कार प्रदान करावा. Now I request all the dignitaries to have a seat in the auditorium. याच्यानंतर सर्वप्रथम आपण व्ही प्रेमलता यांचं व्याख्यान ऐकणार आहोत आणि त्यानंतर मयूर महाजन यांची गायनाची मैफल होणार आहे. तर रंगमंच व्यवस्थापन करू. डॉक्टर चैतन्य पुंडरीक देसाई. Dr. Chaitanya Pundarik Desai was a stalwart musicologist. He was highly acclaimed for his expertise in Sanskrit musicological texts. Dr. Desai was one of the few musicologists who contributed to shaping Indian musicology with insights and inputs from the ancient musicological texts, interpreting them in the contemporary context, and creating a fundamental understanding of the theory of ever-evolving music performance in Indian tradition. Desai was born on 29th April 1911 in Nerur Par, a village in Kudal district in Maharashtra. Desai belonged to a family of scholars of Ayurveda and Sanskrit. Coming Pune for education, he received a degree in Ayurveda and Sanskrit. He learnt music under the guidance of Bhaiya Sahib Ashtiwale as well as Ustad Abdul Karim Khan Sahib. He started writing on music in a bi-monthly journal called Bharatiya Sangeet. This journal was published by Bharat Gayan Samaj in Pune from 1931 to 1933 with Sardar Abasaheb Muzumdar as editor. Desai wrote articles on ancient music, its theory and theoreticians. His several articles were published in periodicals such as Sangeet Kala Vihar and Sangeet Masik Hathras. Desai served at Indira Kala Sangeet Vishwavidyalaya, Khairagad as a research scholar. Dr. Desai edited and translated Nanya Bhupala Deva's Bharata Bhashyam, 11th century Sanskrit treatise on music with detailed notes and explanations. It was a milestone work by Dr. Desai. 2 volumes of Bharata Bhashyam were published by Indira Kala Sangeeta Vishwavidyalaya in 1961 and 1976. Sangeeta Vishayak Sanskrit Grantha is another important work by Dr. Desai. This book was published in 1979 by Maharashtra Vidyapit Grantha Nirmiti Mandal in Mumbai. Desai has described the musicological journey from Bharat to Bhatkhande in this book. While giving a detailed historical account of Sanskrit musicological texts, this book covers around 110 Sanskrit works. In this book, Dr. Desai has explained various trends and transitions in Indian musicology from the ancient period to the modern period. This is a thorough and painstaking work by Dr. Desai. Dr. Chaitanya Desai had many friends, including Vinayak Rao Patwardhan, Omkarnath Thakur, B.R. Devdhar, Behre Bua, Hirabai Badodekar, Kapileshwari Bua, Keshavrao Bhole, G.N. Joshi, Vamanrao Deshpande, Acharya S.N. Ratanjankar, Ustad Amir Khan, Ustad Bade Ghulam Ali Khan, Thakur Jaidev Singh, etc. He was well known as a learned Pandit in the performing circuit. After his retirement, Desai settled in Goregaon, a suburb in Mumbai. Dr. Ashok Daranade asked him to write an exclusive book on music in Bharata's Natya Shastra for the Maharashtra Sahitya Sanskriti Mandal, Maharashtra Board for Literature and Culture. Unfortunately, this work remained incomplete due to Dr. Desai's untimely death. Later, this work was finished and published by Dr. G.H. Taralekar. Dr. Desai died of a heart attack on 29th August 1978. Many scholars are working on Sanskrit musicological texts by taking input and inspiration from the seminal work of Dr. Chaitanya Desai. With the Dr. Chaitanya Desai Memorial Lecture and the Sangeet Maneeshi Award instituted in his memory, we are paying tribute to Dr. Chaitanya Pundarik Desai, a reputed musicologist and an equally humble person.
Good morning, and it's a great pleasure for me to be here in Pune at the Maharashtra Cultural Centre. And at the outset, I am thankful to the organizers of this today's event for this lecture, giving me a great opportunity. And a very short film on Chaitanya Desai ji, which was just showcased. I think he is such a great person, and it's really an excellent job by the organizers to conduct an event and commemorate and pay a tribute to such a great scholar. Because very few Indian musicologists are being remembered, and the study of text also requires a lot of both the Sangita and the Sangita Shastra Jnana. So personally, I also take this opportunity to thank Dr Chaitanya Pundarik ji, who had chosen me, or who had also given me an opportunity to come over here and speak on this occasion. And after thanking the whole organizers for considering me for the musicologist award or the Sri Chaitanya Desai Memorial Award, so I now thought I have to speak on that same contribution of Sir C P Desai ji for this particular event, today's event. So as mentioned by him, one of the great contribution of Chaitanya P. Desai is a book on the Sanskrit Grantha. So this book is titled Sangeet Vishayak Sanskrit Grantha. It is written in Marathi. So my today's lecture will be focusing on the salient features on that book. It is not just a musicology book, or it is not just a dictionary kind of a thing. So what is special about that book? Many would have referred to the book for whatever is required for a person or for a student or any scholar to that particular chapter or page. So what is that input which he had put in that particular book? So I am trying to place before you a few salient points which Desai had really gone into, and we will understand the great scholarship of Chaitanya Desai through this particular presentation. So first one should understand what is Indian music literature, Sangita Shastra, what they call, or the musicology. Because any language would have a literature, a written material, which would be in the form of books. So if you want to know about English literature, you have a lot of books on that. So Sanskrit literature, you have a lot of literature, that is the books on poetry or prose, novel, story, drama, like that, as per the subject. So this is on music. So generally what we call about the music literature is that the works which deal with both music and dance, because we all know that in the earlier part of our music tradition, that is around 2000 years before, music, dance, drumming, that is the Vadya, Gita, Nritya, whatever you call, were all together as a composite art. So the literature would comprise everything together. And we see that there are hundreds of works written on music and dance. And how do we come to know about these works? They were all written in palm leaf manuscripts in those days, or preserved in old and ancient paper kind of material, maybe a cloth or a part of a tree, the branches like that. So these paper or the palm leaf manuscripts, what we call as the Hasta Likita Patra. And what happens, these were kept preserved and it had come down through generations. Like that only we come to know about some work which was written in 2nd century, some work which was written in 5th century and so on. So now all these works were collected, most of them were written in Sanskrit. Sanskrit is the language which was used as to communicate the learned knowledge. So they used the language Sanskrit, and all these works were in the forms of shlokas, sometimes interspersed or mixed with some prose passages. And what happens, these by the end of 19th century, when the art of the printing started taking place, so when the invention of printing, so then all these manuscripts slowly they started to be published into books. So at that time we can't expect anything as what we do today in a digital form, like whatever was in the palm leaves were just converted into a book material, so it had come out like that. But these books are only now the literature, the music literature, which we have to learn about. Next. So what kind of works we have? How do we estimate these works? There could be some works which are Moola Granthas, so which will have the shlokas alone. There are some commentaries or Vyakya. So some of the works will be commented upon, like you have Natya Shastra by Bharata, and you have a commentary for it written by Abhinava Gupta, which is called as Abhinava Bharati. So the music literature may be the Moola Grantha or the commentaries, like you have some commentaries for Sangeet Ratnakara. So there are some commentaries, and some works have some kind of a references, maybe in the form of extracts and paraphrases. But these quotations we find in the later works, but we do not know to which original work they all belong to. And now what happens from 20th century? The modern scholars, what they did, they started collecting all these kind of materials, and they started preparing a kind of a compilation of all this text. So you have so many works, then they all have to be compiled and say that this belongs to this century, this belongs to this century, this speaks about this. So this kind of a compilation and then study on these granthas started taking place. So for which you can't expect that all the works were published by that time. So in the beginning of 19th, 20th century, some of them were published and many of them were lying as manuscripts in special libraries or institutions. So scholars, what did they do? They used to go and read the printed books, and also they used to go and visit the libraries and collect all the materials from them. And when a book on a music literature has to be written, they incorporated the information from the printed books as well as the manuscripts. So what happens, you will have a complete picture, because everything could not be published by then. Even today many of them are not yet published. So now when the printed texts were there, from that they found out what are the contents of the books. So then they started analyzing the contents. Okay, grama, shadja grama, madhyama grama, jati, raga lakshana, like that there were so many contents in all the books. So that material were compiled and then they started analyzing also. So you have different kinds of works leading to some good research on Sangita literature or the music literature. Next. See, these are all small pictures which you can see how the manuscripts had existed long before. So it could be in Devanagari. In the southern region you see many in Grantha Lipi or in Telugu script. So this all depended on who were the patrons and who were the scribes, and in the north you have so many kinds of scripts, and the manuscripts were written in a different script which cannot be very easily understood by today's scholars or with the printable fonts what we have. So this is just to know an idea of how the manuscripts looked. Next. Now let us see about who are the great scholars of the 20th century who had worked on this kind of music literature. I think some of the names are very familiar to you. Dr. V. Raghavan, who had compiled this kind of the works, and he had presented some papers in early as 1930s, as some names in early Sangita literature, later Sangita literature, and so on. Some more names in later Sangita literature. So these were published in the Journal of the Madras Music Academy and later by the Sangeet Natak Academy also. Manavalli Ramakrishna Kavi, who was with a few libraries in South, and this person had traveled all over India and collected so many manuscripts, and he has also written some articles on musicological literature, and he has brought out a big book called Bharatakosha, which is a compilation of all the technical terms found in the text, the works on music in Sanskrit, right from 2nd century, again like Bharata to Bhatkande. Chaitanya P. Desai, he has written the book which we are going to now today see on the Sangeet Vishyak Sanskrit Grantha. It is in Marathi. So Raghavan has written in English. Manavalli Ramakrishna Kavi's Bharatakosha is in Sanskrit. This one, H. Krishnamacharya has written a book called History of Classical Sanskrit Literature, where also there is a separate chapter and a very few short notes on the music works. Eminent, who is an excellent Dutch scholar from Netherlands, who had worked on Indian music, and she has also produced some works. She has also worked on Dattilam, the Sangita Shiromani, and she has brought out a book called Indian Musicological Literature, which is again a very good book analyzing. It's a very short book, not too big, but it gives the insights into all the subtle things of each of the Sanskrit text. Then Tarlekar, as you all know, he has also contributed a lot, and he has made a lot of Marathi translations. He has also given a list of manuscripts available in many libraries. Pandit Bhatkande has written in many of his books, like his the Yatra to Dakshin Bharat Yatra. So he has come to, and there is one called Bhatkande Sangeet Shastra. So lot of these books also, here and there, he makes lots of references to whatever he has observed on music text. Premlatha Sharma ji is the one who had also worked on making editions. So she has brought out editions of many musicological texts. She has guided many musicians and musicologists, research scholars, and many of them had worked on ancient texts under her guidance. Next. So now we will narrow down to Chaitanya Desai ji, what he has done. Mainly, as said in the previous short video, there are three main his contribution. The Bharata Bhashya in 2 volumes, and then the Marathi translation of Natya Shastra brought out with a commentary along with Tarlekarji, and then this Sangeet Vishyak Sanskrit Grantha. This was brought out in the year 1979. Next. Let's now have a look at what is that given in this book. At this point, may I know how many of them have seen the book or read the book? Can you raise your hands? Fine, that's great. So what happens is, this book anyway has a lot of important and very, very useful information. So when we ask a student or a researcher or even some teachers and maybe a music rasika, if you want to read a book, first you should know what is given in that book, what the book deals about. If you have a fair knowledge of it, it will be helpful for us which part of the book has to be focused upon. This book is a descriptive bibliography of Sanskrit works on music. It is purely written in Marathi, and then in a chronological order. So he takes the works right from Bharata's first, even before that he has taken Naradiya Siksha, then Natya Shastra, then Dattilam, then Brihaddeshi. In that manner, he has classified, or he has given all the Lakshana Granthas. I believe at least as per the index it is 122, but in between if you see there are at least more than that, around 130 Lakshana Granthas written in Sanskrit on music and dance in our literature. So all these books have been covered, because we can't call any one textbook in our music or dance which will cover details about all these works. Now this includes the Moola Grantha, the commentaries, and the information also is given with regard to the translations made sometimes, in case if it is during his period, any translation is made. That same, this particular aspect we could also observe in Nine Hui's book on Indian musicological literature, where even some Western scholars, European scholars, if they have made a study on our Indian music, she has given all the bibliographical details. We Indians sitting in India, we do not know how many foreigners have done such a great work on our own music. For that, we have to read the books written by them, and we have enough references, cross references. One thing which the students fail to look at is, you read the book and just go on. What is given in the footnote, what is given as the bibliography, if you see, we will find out that there are many information which will help us, which will lead us, take us to the other source. So that today if you are searching in Google, you click somewhere, it will take you to the other website. You click there, it will lead you to other website. So this, we are now used to use this in the internet. So this same thing is available in the books also. So in that manner, Nayan who has done some work, and that work is being referred by even our Desai ji. And I would say, I have read through Dr. Raghavan's writings on Sangita literature. I could see that there is a lot of influence of Raghavan on Chaitanya Desai's work, which I would also share it with you. So with this, I would also request you all to just go through the book. You need not read the whole book. Go through the book here and there, so that it is in simple Marathi only, but it will give lots, every paragraph carries something scholarly. Today's language, if we have to say a PhD research, whatever we are doing for many chapters, I think every page or every chapter, every work leads to a PhD. So that way Desai has done. Such a tremendous research input is there, which we have to understand, we have to follow. Then only we can keep up our musicological tradition alive and take it rich to the next generation also. Next. So he is actually, Desai is making a kind of a chapterization. This prakarana, like he is giving it under 34 prakaranas. So he starts with major works, and some like the works of the 12th century, the works of the 13th century, the works belonging to this one. So he is making his own chapterization, but that is very intelligible. So if you see that the works written in this particular century have this kind of an input. And as you all know, the post Sangeet Ratnakara text, after which when there you can see a line of demarcation of this Hindustani and the Carnatic music. So before that, things were common for the whole India. So there he says that these were all from the 16th century, these are all dealing with Raga Ragini, these are all dealing with Hindustani. These are all the books which had come from Orissa. Like that we can see that kind of a systematic approach. So when we can feel that kind of a systematic and a scientific presentation means, if you look at the table of contents, the way they have made, like you keep everything in a proper shelf. So he has marked it so properly, which will also give us a clarity to understand what were the Sangita text of different centuries. And the book is actually going to some 438 pages, giving details about around 130 Lakshana Granthas. But also the modern works, like what you see in the 19th century, are also included during at the end pages. Next. Very important is that some of the works are given a very in-depth and a detailed description. This is really very, very important for any reader of the book. So, if you take what is the information given in this particular book, Sangeet Vishayak Sanskrit Granth. So, it gives information on published books. Published means what? Such a book, such a Lakshana Grantha, which was in the book form during his time. We say that Bharata Bhashya was edited by Chaitanya Desai in 1960, 1970 means 1979 if he has written, if this book was published, I think the final print would have gone through in 1974, 75. By that time, if that particular Grantha is published, he would have followed the particular published work. For example, Brihadeshi, for example, Natya Shastra, many of the works. In case if some Lakshana Grantha is not at all published during his time, then he takes the information from we call in research methodology two kinds of sources, the original or the primary source and the secondary source. He takes information from the Moola Hasta Likita Prati, that is the original manuscripts, and also the secondary references like what other scholars have told, what Raghavan has said, what S.M. Thakur has said, what so and so has said, what Alan Danielo has said, in which journal, in which who are all speaking about what. All this information also he is packing up into that particular page. So this will now for a research scholar everything is completed. We can take off from there. So this is a very good, like the approach is so clear and there is no confusion at any part also. And with regard to some books, like for example Brihadeshi, we have the early edition during that period, but some of the, the critical notes and other detailed description, analysis of the work came little later. The IGNCA publication was later, like in 1990s or after 80s. So what happens during this period, even that, today we will consult that book, what that particular editor has said, maybe Premlatha Sharma or Anil Biohar. But if his writing in this particular book, that book was not published. So his analytical notes, they are now becoming the first. So probably the later researchers can also look into his writings, his interpretation, because if there is a charcha on a particular theme, whether this is Trishruti or Dvishruti, or whether it is Gandharagrama or Madhyamagrama, like that subtle aspects of musicology, he is discussing in a very great length at many places. So such detailed description of particular concept also, in the absence of analytical and scientific explanations today, whatever is happening, we are able to get through Chaitanya Desai's book. This is one of the very, very important aspect. And the writings are more authentic. Why do I say? Means he is quoting whatever reference with page number in this book, this edition. So it is not a flying statement. He is giving all this kind of information in a very, very precise manner. Some descriptions. Now if you take Naradiya Siksha, Natya Shastra, actually what I have given pages, Natya Shastra 126 pages. So that whole book of 430, 126 pages is only Bharata Natya Shastra, means he gives a description on different headings. He takes up and describes each and every chapter whatever is given. All the 36 and again as per Abhinav Bharati the 37th, everything he gives. If you come to Sangeet Ratnakara, again the same. He is giving the detailed description of the contents of all the chapters of some of the printed works. So like even Sangita Parijata, Chaturdandi Prakashika, he is giving us such a great description and it is in a very, very understandable Marathi. I was discussing about this with one of my colleagues in my department, that this is the book like this. Many of them don't have a proper textbook, a proper authentic book to read about Indian musicology or the Lakshana Granthas. We are misled at many points. At that time they were all planning, why can't we make an English translation of this Marathi book? I think that could be our next, So this will be really very, very helpful. Since what happens, many of the good works are in one language, regional language, it is not reaching all over India or throughout the globe. So it is now time for us. Each and every page we can't look at Google Translate or anything. It has to be made by our own self. Then it will also help us to understand the concepts. So this is very good detailed things. And sometimes he is also comparing with this Shruti intervals or the Mela classification of this work with that work. With this one, he is making a chart also at some places. So this explains, or this makes it clear that he was very well informed and he is knowledgeable not on one Lakshana Grantha, but on all of them. Then he should have studied everything in detail. Otherwise, one cannot write a book of this kind. So that is the thing which we have to understand from this particular book. Next. Till now I was telling about what is the information we get from the printed books. Now what happens to the hundreds of unpublished works? He has took information from which library this is. He says that this manuscript is available in Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute. This is available in Nepal. This is available in Bikaner. And he gives the catalog number, he gives the manuscript number, he gives the page number. And at many places he also acknowledges this is as per Raghavan, where he has said it is like this. As per so and so, this is like this. Somebody has said that this work is available in this library. He is acknowledging. This is a very good sign of a scholar. We have to acknowledge from where we took the source. So now we have, see why I am building up this means how to estimate the scholarship. A person who has written a book means this is not just a book review. How to understand what is the greatness of the book, not only the book, but about the author. So such a great scholar, whatever he has done, it is now our duty at least to understand what he has done, realize what he has done. Next will be translation or taking him, quoting him for our research and other things. And he has given information about the availability of the manuscripts from many libraries. I have listed a few like Tanjavur. And see one more thing. He is basically from Maharashtra who worked at Kairagarh. Probably he was around this North India, but he has given a very good authentic information about many concepts of South Indian music also. I had referred to his books for my research, because my research was related to music manuscripts. So the availability of a manuscript in this library means how to get, even that library won't give us that particular information. Now it is lost means these people have made a very good entry into that, their books. So that information was available. So I used to go through all his writings and I came to know that you cannot say that that person belongs to Maharashtra, he knows only Marathi. No. The information what he has given is totally common and it is at the same level covering the music of whole India. So he didn't have any discrimination of, some people will have a biased approach, like only this my favorite subject I will go into detail. The other things may not, they will just touch, make a running statement and just move on. But no, he has gone into details and wherever he doesn't have any material, he has quoted Raghavan enough. But sometimes also we could see that there are some information resembling Raghavan's writings, but sometimes it is also not quoted. But that is again same thing what they have incorporated into their books. Next. Now I will just show you some sample pages from the book to understand and estimate the great contribution of C P Desai which he had made in his book. Now, for example, while giving a description of a particular work, this is not just for Bhartabhashya but for many of the text, almost all of the text, he is giving what are the adhyayas and what each adhyaya deals with. Now if you see, yeah, Grantancha Mulanta, he is saying that how many adhyayas are there? Tyantarek adhyayantila vishay nanya devani pratama adhyantila suchit dakivla aheta. So he has given like this. This information is given. Number 1, Uddeshadhyaya. Number 2, Sikshadhyaya. Number 3, Swaradhyaya. So, what are the contents of, if somebody is studying Bharata Bhashya for your PG or UG, what are the contents, chapters of Bharata Bhashya? You can very well take notes from this. So, because this person only has edited that book, no? So, there will be no other references. So, then at the end also he says sometimes, this adhyaya is half, that is, it's not available in full, it is broken, it is incomplete, or this edition says this adhyaya, that edition says that adhyaya, according to this, all this side references also he gives. So, regarding the adhyayas, almost in all the published works, he gives all details, and he gives each adhyaya he will take and say whatever it is dealing with. For example, if you take in Sangeet Ratnakara, he says under Vadya. So, if it is Tatavadya, means what are all the description he gives. He takes all the 4. Tata, Avanadda, Gana, Shushira, and what are the Vadyas, how it is, how the ragas to be played, what are the playing methods, what are the Vadya Prabandhas, everything is giving, he is giving in detail under each heading. So, it is not just like a junk material being just dumped into a book. It is so clearly, the side headings are very clear, and everything has got proper references. So, that is one thing. This is from page 154, is not Bharata Bhashya. In Chaitanya Desai's book, under Bharata Bhashya, it is page 154. So, next. For example, I said, what are the contents of the work? That is about the adhyayas. Now, about Chaturdandi Prakashika, he is making Sahave Prakarana Alapa Vishyan Chahe, Tyanta Sarva Pratama Akshiptika Alambanta Gaila. See here, Akshiptika is the first stage in Alapa, but in general parlance or in the local language, it is also called as Ayattam. That also he says. Laukik nama ayattam hi dilaya hai. So, now you person sitting in this place would not probably know about how it was in Tanjavur tradition. So, that also he gives it in a very simple. Do you find, I think all of you could read Marathi. Do you feel this Marathi very difficult? It is very simple, very like, it's very clear for a person to understand. So, this way he says, Muktai, last also. रागवर्धनिंच मदील कंडाल विधारी व लौकिक नाव मुक्ताई है आहे रागांतिले एक स्वरावर स्थायी च प्रारंभ अंत. See, it can be in the beginning or in the end. This is also called as. And then see in the bracket 1 to 32. This is the shloka number of that original text. This is the one, a small reference. Now if you take Chaturdandi Prakashika, Alapadhyaya, you can see these verses. If you do not know that Sanskrit, you can know about the summary, the gist of it from this. This is a small portion which I wanted you to understand. This is not just with Chaturdandi Prakashika, it is with all the text. I am only giving you one sample. Next. Now some musicological concepts. How he gives the details. For example, in Sangeet Ratnakara, in the 3rd Adhyaya, Prakiranakadhyaya, you have a description about the Panchadasha Gamakas. I have taken only a few, like Kampita, Leena, Andolita. He is giving the list, and then he is giving the explanation also. Can you see the explanation towards the right? So, he is giving a basic idea about that musicological concept also. See, this is the thing which is given in the book. So, this is not a book on Sangeet Ratnakara alone, but a text on all the Lakshana Granthas which gives in detail about some of the concepts. Like this, many concepts are described. I am taking again one small concept and giving it to you. So, this one, it will help you to understand. Now, for example, Tribhinna, Tinhi Sthananta, Pirnara, Ganaswara Kampa. So that how that Tribhinna is to be played in 3 strings or 3 at a time. So this concept he is giving it in, not in Sanskrit verse as such, he is giving it in Marathi. So this will also be helpful to understand that particular concept, what the technical term meant. Next. So this is a place where in one page he is giving about the manuscripts available for a work. So Grantha Krama, what he says is, that is, he is giving a lot of list of Lakshana Granthas in the table of contents, no? So that he is maintaining also, like chapter number. So Taddit Tonnam Anijati. So there is one manuscript, Bernal catalog is actually, Bernal number comes in the Tanjavur Saraswati Mahal collection, where there is a manuscript, Taddit Tonnam. It has to do something with Taddit Tonnam. It has to do with the jatis or the pataksharas, something to do probably on the mridanga or any drum instrument or with dance. So you can interpret it. So regarding this, he says how it has to be, what it is given, and in which catalog, what is the number, page, all these details are given regarding the manuscript. And then also you can see there is one Sangita Raga Lakshana, Granthacha Hastalikiti Nond, Northwestern Provinces Catalog, 628, Ashya hai, Ya Baddalachi. Please excuse my Marathi reading. Jast Mahita Upalabdha nahi. So he says nothing much is known, only this much is known. So whatever he knew, he has given. Okay, so we can't say that. So this is a real scholar where they will say, this much I know, this much is not known, this much is only known, because they will not give their own interpretation or manipulate and give some new data. The data as such, whatever is available, has been presented as such with clarity. So this is one of, again, one of the great scholarship and the greatness of this particular author. And Sangeet Sagar also, he says, Punjab catalog. So it is available in the catalog of the Punjab library. So now it's up to us. Go to Punjab. Where is that Punjab catalog? What he refers? Is it there today? Now that research is also taking place in many other areas. The libraries are changed. The manuscripts are changed. Again, the collections also come under universities. If you go and see, there are many manuscripts. So we can collect them, and probably these references are really very, very helpful for us for further research. Next. Now, secondary literature. As I told you, we don't have, first is printed books, then manuscripts. Now, some reference is made by a particular scholar in a journal. Now, Alan Daniel has spoken about this. It is printed in one of the Music Academy journals in volume 22. So, in that there is some reference in page 119 to 128. That particular reference, he is giving all these references. So, please, if you want anything, go and read this article. So, this reference now, it will lead us to that particular journal. So, we will get more insights. We can go through that full journal article to get enough reference. So, this information also is added in Chaitanya Desai's book. Next. Now, some of the works, we do not know to which century they belong. Okay, some we know that based on now, that's a big question. How to ascertain or how to fix a date for a particular work. Today also Brihadeshi, whether it is 7th century or 9th century, like that there are a lot of discussion. Bharatanatyam Shastra is 2nd century or pre or 4th century, like that. So what happens, we come to a conclusion based on some research and some kind of a references found in other literature also. There are some methodology to ascertain a date. So now what is the main criteria is that if some reference of a book is available in another book, in another work, for which we know the date, so then probably this should be the same. We try to correlate. In that manner, he is also here making like this, because it is speaking about Saha Ragava Chatis Ragini. This Raga Vargikaran, 6 ragas and 36 raganis, this kind of vargikaran or the classification, if it is found in this period, means probably this work could also belong to like this. So this kind of a discussion on the probable date, sometimes on the probable authorship, all this information is also found in his writings. Next. So as I told you, Chaitanya Desai has written this book keeping in his mind or having read thoroughly Dr. Raghavan's articles on Sangita literature. In that, many of them, if you see, it will be almost the same. For example, there is a text called Ananda Sanjeevana, for which you read Raja Madanapala Krita Geeta Vadyam Andrita Yancha Vivechan Karnacha Grantha. So that he is giving, and the reference known the Bikaner catalog Madhyava. So here if you see from the Bikaner catalog and the Asiatic Society of Bengal catalog, we come to know a work called Ananda Sanjeevana written by King Madanapala. This work treats of ragas and other music subjects. The English version, what I am showing towards the right, is by Dr. Raghavan, and the Marathi version is by Chaitanya Desai. You could see that both are almost parallel. This shows that he has referred to that, because this book has come in 1979. Raghavan's articles were written in 1930s and republished again in 1950s. So sometimes he is not giving the name as just as Raghavan, but that same information you can see at many places. That is not a matter for discussion, but what I say is they have accepted the views and they have incorporated all the views. Next. But here on Sangita Kalpataru, he gives that Dr. V Raghavan Yani ya Granthancha Charcha Kela hai. So he is saying that yes, Dr. Raghavan has also done it. This is the same, this information. So this is very common that sometimes most of the places he is referring to all the scholars whom he has taken as his main like guidance or reference. So now do you understand this, all these what I am giving for every one item, one example. There are hundreds of examples for like this. So in this way only, this book is really very, 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 why I called in my title as monumental. Such a great book. This is a margadarshi for us to read on all these Lakshana Granthas. Okay, next. Let us now compile everything and put together. What are the great features of this book? Detailed description. Nothing is left incomplete. He has given a detailed description, and wherever required, whatever is available, he has given enough number of references. So that reference is also helping us to understand the authenticity of that particular statement. And publications and manuscript sources, he has given all the references. I would also give you one more thing is, if you take a discussion on a particular Lakshana Grantha, for example, just go through anyone like Dattilam, when he speaks about each and every aspect, everywhere he gives within brackets the original shloka numbers. For example, first swara or shruti, nada, like that when he is giving the description, within bracket he says in that particular Samba Shiva Sastri edition or the Trivandrum edition, whatever he has taken, this is the particular shloka from 1 to 10. I also gave that in Chaturdandi Prakashika. No? So like that he is giving for the description at each stage he is giving the original shloka, means it reveals that he is giving that description keeping the text in his hand and reading that. So he is reading the book and then giving the description. It is not just whatever comes to his mind or whatever just he gives like in a very generalized manner. Everything is specific, and he is covering all the concepts of Indian musicology. He has not left anything untouched. He has covered almost all the concepts, all the Lakshana Granthas have been covered. And his analysis of technical like the Raga Vargikarana or the Gamakas or the Shruti intervals and that Chatusharana, how each the distribution of Shrutis and at each which one should be the Vikrita Swara. Like that he is taking each and every aspect, and everywhere he is giving description comparing with the earlier work and the next work. So that he is also giving. You could see that very much in Sangita Parijata also. In that explanation he is giving all the details with all the Shruti values, how this will be there, how it will be there. Again, he has not made any discrimination between the South Indian or the North Indian. He has covered all the works. So at last, as you all see, now you have saw that the language is not very complicated. That Marathi, whatever he has presented, is very clear. It's a lucid presentation, very, very clear for any one of us to understand. So, and somewhere he has also given the opinions. For example, in Dattilam, he has given some opinions of other scholars and says, this book gives this one, but this scholar gives like this, probably it should be taken like this. So that kind of analysis of others' opinions also he does it with respect to Nine Huyis, with respect to Raghavan, with respect to even Samba Shiva Shastri edition, because he says some of the shlokas are in this. When he speaks about Brihadeshi, the reference gives like this, but the present edition they don't contain. Some of the reference are seen in Simabhupala's commentary, but it is not in this. Like that, there are a lot of this kind of cross references, which also shows his in-depth scholarship and very, very detailed and a very clear knowledge about the subject. So, I think with this, I will end up my talk. And can we now, definitely we have to think a minute about what Chaitanya Desai has really done. It's not a mere book. It's not just a textbook. It is more than a PhD thesis or whatever you call. It gives all kinds of information. So this kind of a monumental book on Sangita literature, we should all be proud that one of our people among us, no, they all belong to our own community here, they have written this kind of a book. So it is right time that we all have to read the book, try to understand at least one Lakshana Grantha or one chapter, even one page. Also, if you read, you will get such a great enlightenment into the musicological history of India. And with this, I end my talk. Thank you once again for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
व्याख्यानानंतर कोणाला काही प्रश्न असतील तर तुम्ही विचारू शकता. त्यांची उत्तरं त्यांच्याकडून आपल्याला मिळतील.
मुळे कलेवर आपल्या काय परिणाम झाला आणि तो नसता तर शुद्ध काय राहिलं असतं याच्याबद्दल काही हे लिहिलेलं आहे का, असं सांगू शकाल?
Is it mentioned in such
foreign invasions? With regard to, like, first I will say that if this is the question which I have understood, is there any reference to the foreign influence on music, Indian music?
Yes.
Reflected in the...
Yeah, is the factor of foreign influence on Indian music, Indian classical music, and before that, what was pure and what was then?
Yeah, he has not directly spoken about foreign influence on the system, but he has given about how the text have been written. So when you take about this text, if there has been any influence because of the Mughals, because of the, like it happens in the tradition when it comes to different regions, because the music of a period of a particular region develops because of the royal patronage and also the social and political influences. So, but whatever has been said in the books, he has presented them. He has given what this influence would have been because of that particular, the references which you get in the book. So everything is based on the available information from the book. So this is what he has given. Probably if you take each and every book, for example, Shubhankara's work or like that, or even if you take the North Indian, the raga systems of the raga raginis or the particular ragas, here and there he also gives references like this because of the influence. But I do not know whether one has to find out if that particular is because of the Portugals coming in or the Dutch coming in or the Persian influence. Like that in detail means we have to go into each and every text and then find out. But he gives about this influence at the stage of the mentioning of information in the text.
Okay, I think positively if we see then art will have a positive influence.
Yes, art had a positive influence also. I think what you say can also be seen in C.R. Day's book on South music and musicians. What he says about the India, South India, and also on the whole Indian music, how the other influence, how the nations have influenced, like the new musical instruments being designed and the new raga names being coined. Like this, we all have some influence from foreign. It has been a positive influence, and such things were not directly spoken about in the Lakshana Granthas. In the Lakshana Granthas, they were given. When we take it up and we do analysis, then we try to connect them to the invasions or the influence from Arab, influence from this side, influence from that, like that. Yes, it can be exchanged. For anything for a wellness and for the growth of an art, this happens.
Can I add something?
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah, probably most of the Sanskrit Granthas, they don't describe or they don't give descriptions of the origin of the concept. If the concept is from Persian music or Greek music, the Sanskrit texts don't explain it in the original form. But Dr. Desai has mentioned the linkages somewhere. Like I will give an example. When he talks about Pundarik Vitthala's text, his second text, where he has given description of Hindustani ragas, so he gives a comparison with particular names, like when there is a reference of raga called Hejjuji, so he tells that this is probably the Persian influence because this particular name is of a Persian maqam called Hijaz. So in a way, Desai ji links the sort of influence which is evident in the texts. So that kind of exchange, musicological exchange, was always there, particularly in medieval times, and the musicologists take a note of that, but they don't comment on that, because we need to understand the concept as such. We cannot say that this is out of such particular influence. We just need to recognize what is in the common. That's it. Yeah. Any other question? Yeah. I think no. So I thank Dr. V Premalatha for delivering such a wonderful lecture. I think this lecture is not just about Dr. Chaitanya Desai's monumental work on musicological texts, but she has put light on the qualities of a good musicological work, as well as what are the parameters to understand and analyze any kind of musicological work. So thank you, Dr. Premlatha ji. Now we'll go ahead to the next part of our program, the concert or the performance by Mayur Mahajan in a response to Swarabhav Puraskar. मंच व्यवस्था झाली की आपण लगेच मैफिलीला आरंभ करूया.